Hi, I'm Trish from Speedwell. In this clip we'll be marking short answer and essay questions. This examiner needs to continue marking some short answer questions in an exam. They choose all exam questions with a status of mark. The exams appear in a list with all the exam details, including the number of questions and the number of candidates. The examiner selects the exam they want to mark, goes to Actions and chooses Mark. At the top of the screen on the left we see the exam detail. On the right we see the number of questions this examiner can mark, including the number of candidates, and the marking they've already done shown as a percentage. The examiner will mark on this screen where they can see the candidate answer. They can go to the question screen, reread the question, reread the model answer which was created as part of the question and might include a summary of marking points or individual points that the examiner has to score, depending on how it was set up. Back to marking. On the left, the examiner can move to previous or next answer like this. They can skip marked answers, choose which question they'd like to mark like this. This examiner's already done some marking as we can see here, and they'd like to continue with the lipids question. There are 7 candidates to mark, and they've marked 0 out of 7. On the right, the examiner has some marking tools. They can point, highlight, or strike through text from the candidate answer. And they can choose a colour for the marks they apply to the text in the candidate answer. This examiner would like to pinpoint something in the candidate answer and make a comment. The examiner switches the point on and clicks into the candidate answer. A comment is created in the annotations panel on the right, so that the examiner can attach a comment to the pin, which could be shared later on with the candidate in the feedback report. Selecting a mark in the candidate answer highlights the comments box on the right for easy reading or editing. The examiner would like to highlight some candidate text, so they pick the highlight, select the text, make a comment in the comment box on the right, and decide if they want to share that comment with the candidate later on in the feedback report. The examiner can also add a strikeout to the text in the candidate answer, like this. Add a comment to it on the right. If the examiner wanted to delete a mark, they simply click the cross to the right of the comments box, and then confirm. The examiner can add general comments on the right-hand side, and these comments can be shared with the candidate in the feedback report later on as well, and multiple comments can be added using the Add button. Once the examiner's finished marking the answer for candidate 44, they'll type a score into this box. The score's out of 10. Once they've typed the score, they'll press Enter to move on to the next candidate. This examiner hasn't marked the answer for candidate 45 yet, but the previous examiner has made some comments which they can read. Their score isn't visible, but their comments can be read on the right-hand side, and individual marks can be clicked so the comments can be read more clearly. This examiner would like to add a highlight to some text in the candidate answer and attach a comment to it. Once an examiner has added marks and comments to a candidate answer, they can always select them to edit them later. But they can't edit another examiner's comments, and they can't see another examiner's scores. This examiner is now marking candidate 47's answer. They read the previous examiner's comments, but they can't see the scores. They add a highlight of their own, add a comment to that highlight, decide whether to share it with the candidate, finish marking, add a score for candidate 47, and press Enter to move on. This examiner has now marked 3 out of 7 candidates for this question, which we can see at the bottom. On the right, we can see the percentage marked as updated. They can move to further candidates or questions using the buttons or the drop-down on the left. This examiner will close and mark the rest of the exam in a later session.